Hello everyone. Today we will discuss about the polysaccharide. In this video we will particularly talk about the homoglycans. First of all, what is polysaccharide? Polysaccharide are the polymerized product of many monosaccharides. Means many monosaccharide units will combine together with each other and will form the polysaccharides. Now these polysaccharides are mainly of two types, that is the homoglycans and the heteroglycans. In this video we will talk about homoglycans only. In my next video we will talk about heteroglycans. Now first of all, what are homoglycans? Homoglycans are actually composed of single kind of monosaccharide unit. Means if the particular subunit is glucose only, so all the molecules that are forming their particular polymerized product will be glucose only. If it is fructose, so all will form subunits in there will be fructose only. So that is the homoglycan, in which the monosaccharide units are same. While in the heteroglycan, okay, the polysaccharide unit is actually formed by different kinds or different types of monosaccharide unit. Now first of all, the homoglycans. Homoglycans are, first of all, the example is starch. Now as you can see, all this food, this potato, rice, wheat, pulses, tapioca, or we can say cereals, these all contains starch in it. Now the starch is actually the reserve carbohydrate of plant kingdom. In the plant kingdom, this is the actually the reserve carbohydrate or the stored carbohydrate of the plant kingdom, and the glycogen is actually the reserve carbohydrate of the animal kingdom, while for the plant kingdom the stored carbohydrate is the starch. Now the starch is actually composed of mainly two substances or two units, we can say amylose and amylopectin. Okay, these two structure. Now first of all, what is amylose? Amylose are actually, as you can see, they are simple chained unbranched unit. Okay, there is no branches present in amylose. Okay, and it is having alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. Okay, and when the starch is actually treated with a boiling water, 10 to 20% is only solubilized. Only 10 to 20% will be soluble in the water. Okay, and that particular 10 to 20% is the amylose, and the rest will be amylopectin. So it is unbranched unit having alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond, solubilized when treated with boiling water, and unbranched chain. Now next is the amylopectin. Amylopectin are actually having alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. As you can see, it is branched. It is having branches. Okay, and it actually forms the insoluble part of the starch. I told you before that the amylose is the 10 to 20% soluble part of the starch. But if we will solubilize it, when I will mix the starch into the water, around 80 to 90% of it will actually absorb water and form a paste like gel, and that is known as the amylopectin. Now amylopectin is also made up of glucose unit only, and amylose also glucose. Okay, and its molecular weight is more than 1 million, and there are branching point alpha 1,6 glycosidic bond. At the branching points there is alpha 1,6 glycosidic bond, and normally alpha 1,4 glycosidic bonds. Okay. Now the hydrolysis of the starch. Now as you can see, the starch will give blue color when it is treated with iodine. Okay, but when it is heated, this blue color will actually disappear, and on cooling it will again reappear. Okay, and this is actually, the starch is actually non-reducing sugar, because the free sugar group are negligible in number. The free sugar are almost nil, so that's why it is a non-reducing sugar. Okay, and in the iodine test it will give blue color. Okay, on hydrolysis it will give blue color and will disappear on heating and reappear on cooling. Now if you know that when the starch is actually hydrolyzed by a mild acid, smaller and smaller fragments of it will form, and at the end it will form maltose, the smallest unit. Maltose is the disaccharide unit, right? So the smallest unit for maltose is actually formed, and after that, of course, it will form glucose. Okay, but up till maltose, it will form maltose on hydrolysis. So if the starch is actually treated with iodine, it will form blue color. When the starch is actually hydrolyzed with mild acid, it will form amylodextrin. For smaller part, if I am hydrolyzing the starch for a shorter period of time with the this mild acid, it will form amylodextrin. If I will keep the starch more in the mild acid, it will form erythrodextrin. If I will keep the starch for more and more time of this in the mild acid, it will form acrodextrin. And finally, it will form maltose. Now, amylodextrin, on treating with the iodine, it will form purple color. These are the non-reducing sugar. The erythrodextrin will form red color. This erythrodextrin is mildly reducible. Okay, it is mildly reducible, very lightly reducing agent. Acrodextrin, it will not give any kind of color, and maltose also no color. But remember, this erythrodextrin and maltose, these both are reducing sugars, while these two are non-reducing, and erythrodextrin is actually mildly reducing. Okay. Now the action of the amylase on starch. We have mainly two types of amylase, alpha amylase and beta amylase. Now alpha amylase are actually present in the saliva, in salivary amylase, and the pancreatic amylase. Now this alpha amylase will split the starch into alpha maltose and form the alpha maltose at the end. Okay, and this mainly acts on the alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond. It mainly acts on the alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond only, not on the alpha 1,6. Now the beta amylase. Beta amylase, they are of the plant origin, and they are mainly present in the almonds, germinating seeds, etc. And they will split the starch to form the beta maltose. Previously in the alpha amylase, it was forming alpha maltose. It will form beta maltose. They act on amylose. This is the sort of amylose. They will act on the amylose to split the maltose unit consequently. Thus, the enzyme starts its action from one end and then consequently breaks the alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Right. Now, when the beta amylase actually acts on the amylopectin. So, what happens? The maltose units are actually liberated from the ends of the branches of the amylopectin. Okay, and at one stage when these branches come, the enzyme is blocked at this 1,6 glycosidic linkage. So the action of the beta amylase stops at the branching units or the branching points, leaving a large molecule. Suppose this amylase, beta amylase, is actually acting on this beta alpha 1,4 glycosidic bond, so it will break this and then it will break this. But when it will come in the branching point, it will block. And it will form a large molecule, or it will leave a large molecule, and that large molecule is known as the limit dextrin or the residual dextrin. So this is very important term. Limit dextrin or residual dextrin is that part or that large molecule which is actually not able to broken down by the beta amylase. Now next is the glycogen. I told you before, glycogen is the reserved carbohydrate or reserved carbs of the animal kingdom. Okay, it is stored mainly in the liver and the muscle. About 5% of the liver weight is of the glycogen only. Excess carbs are deposited as glycogen in the human being body or the animal kingdom. In any animal kingdom, it is stored as glycogen. Now glycogen is mainly composed of alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage in a straight line. It also has alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage. So it has mainly alpha 1,4 and also alpha 1,6 glycosidic linkage at the branching units. Okay, means both of them are present, and alpha 1,6 are the branching units. Now molecular weight of glycogen is about 5 million. And remember this structure of the glycogen. Okay, and in the center there will be primer protein. Okay, somewhere over here in the center it will be primer protein, and that primer protein is known as the glycogenin. Okay, innermost core of the glycogen contains a primer protein known as the glycogenin, and the glycogen is more branched and more compact than the amylopectin. Just remember, amylopectin was about 1 million of weight, molecular weight, and it is around 5 million. Okay, and so the glycogen is more branched and more compact as compared to the amylopectin. Now the cellulose. Cellulose actually supporting tissues of the plant, and the cellulose constitutes around 99% of the cotton, 50% of the wood, and is the most abundant organic material in the nature. Okay, so just remember it from around 99% of the cotton and 50% of the wood. and is supporting tissue of plants. Now, as we all know, it is made up of glucose unit and has beta-1,4 glycosidic linkage, and it is having no branching units or branching linkage. Molecular weight is around 2 to 5 million, and the cellulose has a variety of commercial application. If you know, it is mainly used as starting material for the fiber product or the celluloids or nitrocellulose or plastics. Now you may know that the beta-1,4 bridges, are actually broken down by one enzyme known as the cellobiase. Only cellobiase can break the cellulose beta-1,4 glycosidic linkage. Only this. Okay, just don't get confused between the linkages. Over here in the cellulose we have beta-1,4 linkage. Till now we were having alpha-1,4 linkages, right? So this is a beta-1,4 linkage. So it is broken down only by one enzyme known as cellobiase, and this cellobiase, if you know, it is not present in the human being's body, but it is present in the herbivores. Okay, that's why they are easily able to eat any kind of leaves and grasses, because I told you it is now because this cellulose actually forms major part of the supporting tissue of the plants, 19% of wool and also part in the wood. So that's why it forms a maximum supporting unit of the plants. Okay, but this cellulose is not able to be digested by the human being's body, only by the herbivores, because they are having intestinal bacteria that actually can digest the cellulose easily. Next is the inulin. Inulin is actually formed by the long chain and formed by D-fructose. Till now everything was glucose. Now inulin is formed by D-fructose and actually having beta-1,2 linkage. Remember, beta-1,2 linkage. Cellulose was beta-1,4 linkage. Starch and glycogen were alpha-1,4 and alpha-1,6 linkages, right? Over here inulin is beta-1,2 linkage. It is a reserved carbohydrate present in various bulbs. Okay, in various bulbs and tubers such as dahlia, onions, garlic, in all those things. In the bulbs, onion, garlics, it is mainly present. Now it is clinically used, very important for one marker, and also clinically also. It is clinically used to find the renal clearance value and the glomerular filtration rate. So it is very important. It very important clinically also, that it is used to find renal clearance value and the GFR. Now next are the dextrans. What are these? They are highly branched homopolymers of glucose units. Again glucose units, and they are mainly having alpha-1,6, alpha-1,3 and alpha-1,4, all the three linkages. It is having alpha-1,6, alpha-1,3 and alpha-1,4 linkages, and it is made up of glucose unit, remember. Okay, and they are mainly produced by microorganisms only and have molecular weight of around 1 million to 4 millions. Okay, now since they will not go easily out of the vascular compartment, they are mainly used as intravenous fusion as plasma volume expander. Okay, just in order to increase the plasma volume, it is mainly used as intravenous infusion. Why? Because it will not go out of the vascular compartments because of this high linkage compounds. Okay, now the chitin. Now what is this? Chitin is actually present in the exoskeleton of the crustaceans. In the exoskeleton of the crustaceans, it is mainly present, and insects also. It is composed of the NAG. What is NAG? N-acetylglucosamine. It is composed of units of N-acetylglucosamine with beta-1,4 glycosidic linkage. So just remember the linkages over here. Beta-1,4. In the dextrans, mainly we have 1,6, 1,4 and 1,3 linkages. In the inulin, and the 2 alpha, okay, alpha-1,6, alpha-1,4, alpha-1,3. In the inulin, we were having the beta-1,2, cellulose again beta-1,4, and the starch and the glycogen alpha-1,6 and alpha-1,4. So this was all about the homoglycans: starch, glycogen, cellulose, inulin, dextrans and chitin. We will discuss about the heteroglycans in our next video. Hope you understood well. Thank you so much.